Welcome to the Beyond the Leash podcast, the show where we dive into the world of service dogs, beyond the leash, and unleashing the truth, breaking down those barriers, sharing incredible stories behind the harnesses. I am your host, Service Dog Educator.
And I'm Bumblebee.
Whether you are an ally, or you're just curious, or you're a handler yourself, you're in the right place. Let's get ready to learn, laugh, and be inspired, because life is better with a service dog by your side. Let's get started. So, welcome to this week's episode of Beyond the Leash podcast, everybody. And we've got some breaking news. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, wait, I didn't do that right. Hang on. Re-race. Beep, beep. Back up. We've got some breaking news. Dun, dun, dun. I wanted to get the pauses in for you because you yelled at me about the pauses.
Hey.
But anyways, breaking news for this week has to deal with me, your host, Service Dog Educator. And I am so happy to share this with you guys and all the fans of our Beyond the Leash podcast listeners. I created an online course. Holy crap!
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing. But yeah, I created an online course where, you guys, all of you guys can learn more about the ADA in a more depth experience. So that way you're not just going off of the actual ADA frequent asked questions or the laws or anything. It goes into more depth about it. And so if you are interested, there will be a link in the bio to the website. Or you can find me on TikTok at Service Dog Educator and DM me about it. And it's also linked in that bio as well. So if you are interested, please reach out and, go to the website and everything else like that. Because you know what? We all need some more education. And just to let you all know as well, the pricing for this is $25 for the full course plus quiz, plus 5 sessions with me. Service Dog Educator. You get to schedule those out, whether that's video call or via phone. And you get to ask me all sorts of questions about the ADA law or about the course itself, and just get to have all your questions answered. There's also another offer of $20. That's just the full course itself with the quiz and everything. And you can do that by yourself. This is no time limit, no grades. Don't worry about it. It's not like high school or middle school or whatever school you're going to now or prior to graduation. You guys need to or have not checked it out already, please go check out my ADA law course, online course. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. There is more to come. Me and Bubba were talking about this earlier, about how many more courses that we could do together or separate, and me and Two Vets are also known as Austin, are thinking about collabing on one as well. But let's get into the topics. That's the end of the breaking news. Sorry, that's the end of the breaking news, but let's get into those topics.
Alrighty.
All right, so first topic is service dog handlers harassed at Target, police called. So this is our first topic of the day because Bumble had stumbled upon a video on their FYP of a gentleman who is a service dog handler that was, shopping at Target regularly. No big deal, no big deal. But then security and a couple of other employees, I don't want to say harassed at first, but it turned into harassment after it all, because the lady was not a fan of the dog because it was a pit bull bully breed, some sort of dog on that end of the line, and the dog was not leashed, of course. And because of the task or the disability interfering with the leash, so the handler within his rights had the dog off leash, and the dog was under control. The dog was not barking, lunging, doing anything from the video, what we've seen, and even getting glimpse at the dog moving around. The dog seemed very focused on him. To me, it seemed like a legitimate service dog. Again, I don't know the dog 100%. This could have been, a situation where the dog did do something and people had a reason to complain, and then he was being an ass back. But from what it seemed like, the guy was very cool, collective, and the dog didn't do anything.
Yeah,
So
and
the
even looking at videos on his page, which, again, props to him, the dog seems well trained. It seems, well balanced, well rounded. It doesn't really do anything that I, would deem as, problematic.
agreed. And basically, the security guy was telling him because of TikTok law, no, not TikTok, Target law, which, by the way, when does Target ever make laws? Can
Target doesn't
anybody?
make laws.
That's what the guy said. The guy
I
said
know, I
Target
know. And I
law.
was I was sitting there and I'm like listening to this and he's like, Target law. It's like,
When does
huh?
Target make laws? Like, that's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. But anyways, you have to have the dog on a leash, blah 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 blah. And they were like, no, we can't. I can't have the dog on a leash. They ended up calling the cops on the poor guy, and the cop did his own research. Great. The problem that what we I had with the cop was is that after everything, after they talked to the security guard, they were trying to trespass him. Which again, the guy was doing a job. I understand, but I think he should have taken the handler side,
I
in
mean,
my
he kind
opinion.
of
What do
did
you
take the
think?
handler side, but unfortunately, not enough to the extent that, would, make the handler ever feel safe. But honestly, I'm not surprised that Target really decided to be kind of like the way that they were in the video, but then again, it's not this, it's Target. It's just bougie or Walmart. It's just, you know, I wish that they would have. I wish that they would have, the cop would have said, hey, listen, he has every right to shop here. You really can't do anything about it. The animal is not, destroying or being a nuisance or anything. So there's not much you can really do about it. If you want to, file a complaint, that's fine, but you can't trespass him because of the dog.
But yeah, I agree, and I'm glad that the guy did end up recording and everything, um, to prove in like in a court of law instance as well. But the guy, I didn't see anything wrong with what the dog was doing at all. Like honestly, like the dog seemed fine, and regardless of people's fear or allergies, even if there was a fear or an allergy, he should have been able to still done his shopping.
Yeah, but the fact that he was like followed like all the way around the store after that like incident, it's like I'm surprised that he didn't press charges. Like that's a very easy case to win. Again, having the Target employee, follow you around the store while you're just trying to grocery shop while you have your service animal, and for them to be like, "Oh, we're going to trespass you," it's like that's a super open and shut case, against Target for harassment, of a service animal. And people were telling him, "Hey, this is a very, easy lawsuit, if you want to pursue it, you know." But it's like I don't know
I
if
hope
he's
he does.
gonna.
I hope he did like sue or does sue or something. I don't know exactly when that was filmed or anything, but I hope he did sue. I doubt it, but he should have, honestly, in my opinion. I would have definitely that would have been an open, clean case right there to sue Target and for them to, get like maybe even get that security guard fired.
I feel like, we toss around, the sue them, type thing. I understand that a lawsuit takes time, it takes money, it's, not, really like it takes time. It takes a lot of time. But I feel like more people need to start suing corporations. Um, because again, they're not getting the message with us, making videos and, bringing copies of the ADA, having the police side with us, it's just not enough. They're not necessarily learning the lesson,
They
if
don't
that makes
care
any
to
sense.
though. They're not enforced to.
I
So
know.
why would they care to learn anything? Or even if we did sue them, they're not going to learn anything still. Target's going to take it as is a, oh, this is just a bump in the road. This is like chump change, and I'll make more and more and more money.
See, I feel like we like need to, as a service dog community, we need to create like a Supreme Court case against all these corporations, like Walmart and Target, and all these like stores and whatnot that deny us access. We need to come up with like a massive lawsuit, a civil lawsuit with the Supreme Court, because again, they're not going to give a shit until it becomes big enough of a problem. But if we make it a big enough of a problem, then that's that probably would send a message across. It's kind of like the Facebook lawsuit that happened a few years back, or the Amazon lawsuit that's currently ongoing.
Amazon. What happened with Amazon?
Oh, they sold our data as usual.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought you meant like
there's a
something
whole
happened
thing.
like service dog wise.
Oh, no. Amazon warehouse's lawsuit where they're mistreating their people, but that's a whole different thing. But yeah, like I feel like if we make a big enough dent in their pocket, they'll start listening to us. But then again, that's gonna take time. We're gonna have to get a really good attorney to listen to us in the first place.
Right. Well, with that being said, I think we're, speaking of the first topic, we can go into like, federal law versus stores with power trips, like Target
Yeah,
and Walmart and them. Like, if you want to start us off, go for it.
sure. I see it a lot. And where I live, I see it quite often. Unfortunately, you know, where was I? I was at Kroger, and I was sitting in the store, and this guy comes in, and he has his little, I don't want to say it's a Bichon Frise, but it was like probably like a mini poodle or something like that. And it's inside the grocery cart, and it's running back and forth, and it starts barking, and it's like, I'm standing there, and I'm like, you know what? I've got time. I've got the effort, and I don't have my service dog with me. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make this an issue. You know, And, I'm talking to this gentleman and I'm like, hey, listen, your dog's really cute, but it's also kind of annoying and, shouldn't be in here to begin with. It's not a service animal. It's not labeled as a service animal. I can tell by behavior wise that it's not a service animal, you know. And he goes, well, yeah, it's not a service animal, but I've been bringing her in here since she was a puppy. And it's like, that's great. I don't care. Your dog is being a problem and you should probably remove it for being a problem and yipping and yapping and barking and running back and forth inside the cart. Like, if you can't control your dog needs to leave. You know,
Wait a
I
minute,
love.
wait a minute. Was this store like a pet friendly
No,
store?
Kroger, grocery store.
Oh, either way, even if he brought it in as a puppy,
Yeah,
it's
and
still
again,
legally not allowed.
yeah, I know. And I was like, sir, if you notice on the door, it says service animals welcomes, pets not, and pets certainly not allowed in cart. And he's like, well, I've been bringing her since she was a puppy. And it's like, that's great. You're still breaking the law. It doesn't matter. And, the cashier, I know that these cashiers really don't care and they really don't give a shit, but it's like the lady behind the register is just like, I've known this dog since he was a puppy. And it's like, you're also breaking the law. Do you like your job? Because it's like, it's really, really, really easy to just be like, hey, don't bring your dog in here, please. It's against our store policy. And just set that boundary right at the gate. But oh well. Oh well. I don't really care that you've been bringing this dog in here and that you as the cashier have been allowing them to bring this dog in here since it was a puppy. It's still not allowed per your corporate policy and it shouldn't be allowed, period. And she's just like, well, I don't get paid for that. And it's like, I don't care if you
Which
get paid
no,
for that.
no, she is right. They don't get paid enough to
She's
deal
a
with that. They
manager
don't get
though.
paid.
She's a manager though.
Oh, then that's different.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean you don't get paid for that? It's like, I don't give a shit if you're paid
That
2
is your job.
cents. That is your job. you are supposed to kick out dogs that are misbehaving. Like, I'm not even joking. I stopped going to this Kroger a long time ago. I very rarely ever go in there because the last time that I was in there, not only was that little tiny Yip Yap dog in there, but there's somebody being dragged around by a giant Great Dane. And it's like, that dog made me feel so uncomfortable because this dog was literally pulling its owner everywhere. And it's like, that's an accident waiting to happen.
Right. But my thing is like, because you live in Texas, so you have HEB there. HEB,
HEB.
that's what I said, HEB. And when I went and visit Texas, almost it's gonna be almost a year ago now.
HEB's no better though.
I thought it was an amazing store.
HEB is amazing, but they're not any better at enforcing the service dog laws.
Here's the reality that we have to face though, as all of us as service dog handlers, okay? Whether or not there's legislation that's gonna, enforce it a little bit better or whatever the case is, it is never going to be 100% perfect. And we all still have to live our lives. We all still have to get our groceries. We all still have to do what we do. Somebody is going to continue breaking the laws, and the corporations are not going to give a fuck and just let it go. Like, that's always going to happen regardless of legislation enforcing it or whatever the case is, right? So,
But then there's this. But hold on, but then there's this. But then they come after real service dog handlers and act like we're the ones that are the problem. It's like, what do you mean? Like, again, like with what we just talked about, with the handler that was harassed. It's like, what do you mean you're going to go after the well-trained animal that's not causing a problem, but you're going to let foofy schnuckykins that shits everywhere into the store and not tell them to leave? Like, you're gonna go, oh, it's a little puppy, it's like, what do you mean? You're gonna come after me and everyone else with a well-trained service animal that's just trying to get milk and eggs, but you're not gonna kick out the people who are the actual problem? Like, that's where the power trip comes in.
And I agree. That's the main issue, is that if they're going to allow other dogs in and not care about them, then they shouldn't care about service dogs. If they don't get paid enough to deal with the fakes, they don't get paid enough to deal with the reals either. That's the point that I was trying to make. But again, even if legislation came involved with it, it's not going to be 100% perfect. And we all can't expect it to be 100% perfect. Not that we are. We just want more enforcement. We want to have to feel like our medical equipment is protected, which we should have that feeling, and we should be able to go out and live our everyday lives without the worry of our dogs being injured or retired or unalived or whatever the case is. And basically the takeaway from this is, if you're a local business or even if you're a big corporation listening to this, like, do better with training your staff at the end of the day. But our governments really need to put like legislation to enforce them.
Again, that's why I'm saying we need to, we as service dog handlers, we need to come up with a full-on corporate level civil suit. Like, we need to take this to the Supreme Court, and sue these businesses for, not necessarily everything they got, but a good, chunk of money. Because the only way that they're going to learn is if they lose enough money.
I don't think that they're gonna do it though. I don't think that they're gonna care unless it's like a shit ton.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Trillions of dollars.
That's what I'm saying. But again, service dogs are extremely expensive, and if we get enough handlers who have lost service dogs or have had to go through medical bills or stuff like that, it's like, we could, in essence, make this a multi-billion-dollar, lawsuit. We would have to find somebody to help us with it, but I feel like that's what's going to happen first.
The question is who are we going to find to do that?
It would be nice if we could find somebody that would do it pro bono. Listen, they would get a nice chunk of change afterwards.
But let's move on to the last topic. And this one's going to be a big long one. So
Mhm.
this one, I know all of you have been waiting for. I know all you all want to hear the tea. Sipping on them tea. Fair warning, all of y'all now, if you haven't already, go get yourself some warm drinks, some water, and some popcorn, because you're about to get a full thing of tea right now. The drama
This is gonna
in.
be some of that gallon jug of sweet tea.
And I'm not using names because I don't want a lawsuit or anything, so we're not going to use names. But we're going to talk about a situation that has recently happened. And Bumble's kind of involved, but not really. It's mainly me. So here's the thing. I want to make a disclaimer first. And this goes for anyone who listens to my lives, Bumble's lives, or if Bumble's in another live or anything like this. Okay, I am making this not really even a disclaimer. It's more of a POV. If Bumble says something, or Bumble does something, or Bumble has anything to do with anything, right? Stop coming to me, please. That's so annoying. Like I've had multiple people come to me and tell me, "Oh, Bumble's done this. You need to tell her to stop doing this. Bumble's doing this. You need to tell her to do this." And Bumble's doing that. Like, stop telling me what to tell her to do. First of all, I don't tell her anything. I don't tell her what to do. I don't tell her anything. That's not how our friendship works. That is not what we do with each other. You know, I don't get. If she don't tell me what to do, I don't tell her what to do. At the end of the day.
You know what I
So,
find hilarious though is that they feel comfortable enough going to you, but not comfortable enough coming to me. It's like I never ever get these messages where it's just like, I'll occasionally get messages like that, but it's like I don't know what y'all think you're doing going to her. It's like if you got a problem with me, but you're not comfortable enough to come to me, your problem's not with me, it's with you. It is a you singular problem, and you need to fix yourself before you come and try to fix me. But yeah, it's hilarious. Y'all got to stop going to her because honestly, there's nothing that you can do that you can tell her to tell me. Like, if you got a problem with me, that's fine. You can block me. You can, mute me. You can, give your 2 cents and, tell me to go fly off into the sun. I don't care what you think about me. I'm comfortable with myself. I am authentically who I am. If there's something that you got wrong with me, that's a you problem. And if you want to voice it, you can. My DMs are always open.
but the whole point is I'm trying to make is before we get into the situation is I don't tell her what to do. She don't tell me what to do. At the end of the day, I can tell her that I don't like certain things, or I can tell her, hey, I didn't like this is a boundary for me, and she'll respect that, and we can tell each other this. And some people are like, well, sometimes it comes easier when it comes from you. It's not my business. I don't tell her what to do, and I'm not gonna, if she's in another live and I'm not even involved with it, like for real, if I am asleep, people, and I'm usually asleep, weekdays, Monday through Friday, I go to bed by 9 o'clock. Weekends, I'm probably up till 10, 11 at the latest. So if it's past that time, most likely I'm asleep. So just leave me alone. Message me in the morning. As soon as you wake up, message me, and then maybe I'll be in a better mood. But don't message me at 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't message me at 2 o'clock in the morning. And definitely do not do what this lady did and blow up my phone for hours on end, keeping me awake over a topic. Speaking of that, let's get into it. So,
Let's get into the
because
tea.
I know y'all have been wanting this. So, here's what happened. So as you all know, I do my regular scheduled lives. We talk about different types of topics. Mainly, the main topic that we have been mostly talking about a lot is emotional service animals, and that title not existing. So I have it as kind of like not rage bait, but it's a attention seeking topic that gets people in to have a conversation with, to educate, right? So it says emotional service animals don't exist. So this lady comes in and she's like, but they do exist. And I tell her she's welcome to join a box and we can have a conversation. She doesn't want to join a box. She wants to stay in the comments. Fine. So then she goes into explaining how she has a child that has an emotional service animal. Now, the dog is task trained to mitigate the child's autism, which, disclaimer, and you don't know, which you should know because it's in my bio and I talk about them all the time. I have 2 kids on the spectrum. Okay, so bear this in mind. I have 2 children that are on the spectrum. Okay, I have also been told multiple times that I am most likely an undiagnosed autistic individual. Bumblebee, my best friend, also autistic. So, and prior to doing this full time, I was a paraeducator for autistic individuals for over 4 years. So I've been in the world of autistic individuals. I understand their the issues that go along with them and the difficulties and needing certain things and blah 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 blah. Okay, bear that in mind. So this individual kept on talking how the dog was tasked trying to mitigate her son's autism by emotionally regulating the child. So I was trying to explain to them that emotional regulation isn't emotional support, it's a task. So the dog, like a boop alerts or deep pressure therapy or does whatever to the child. And I was explaining that's a task. So that would be a psychiatric service dog, not an emotional service dog. Then they went into, well, the dog does both. Yes, a service dog and it can provide emotional support and also a task. Tasking does emotional support doesn't ever go away from anyone, anything, or any animal. Emotional support is the presence of that animal being there, making the individual feel better. That's just how it is. Tasking is individually trained for the dog to mitigate the disability. So that's what I was trying to explain. So this happened like weeks ago, right? So fast forward to
Well, it happened
uh
like 3 or 4 days ago.
no, hang on. This was the first time they entered.
Oh yeah,
This
this
was
was weeks
weeks
ago.
ago. So we ended up muting them, letting them go off, and I told them that if they wanted to join up a box, they can have a more in-depth conversation because they weren't understanding what we were saying. So with that being said, excuse me. With that being said, fast forward to a couple days ago and everything, um, the same situation happened again, where they were, saying the same things over and over again. And Bumble told them, "Hey, you can either join a box or you can just leave it alone. We tried to explain to you, you didn't want to hear the explanation, so we're done with it. We don't want to keep talking to you about it." So we ended up muting them again. They ended up DMing me. So after the live, when I got off, I DM'd them back like I usually do for anyone that DMs me. So with that being said, I DM'd them. We were going back for a little bit, then it ended. Then at 12 o'clock at night, this person started DMing me, DMing me, DMing me, DMing me, DMing me. Kept going, kept going. My phone kept going off, and I look at my phone. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I'm looking, and this lady is DMing me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I don't know if it was just my, phone going crazy or what it was, but this lady kept DMing me. So I was like, whatever. So I messaged her back and I was talking with her. Basically, things escalated. Now, what I will say to this is I was in the wrong for a couple things. Two things I would say that I was in the wrong for. Number one thing that I was probably in the wrong for that I stated in the screenshot, like I have screenshots of all of this. The number one thing that I would say that I was in the wrong for is saying that, I didn't care about their opinion. And in reality, should I have said that? No. That was insensitive of me to say. But that's just how the law sees it. They don't care about another person's opinion. It's how it is what it is. And then I also told them that I was going to make a podcast out of this, which again, probably shouldn't have said, but I wanted to say the truth because I got irritated and it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I got pissed. So, not an excuse, but the reality of the way I see it, right? So then they ended up going onto our podcast channel and commenting with their husband saying how I was mocking their child's disability and I was claiming that they couldn't have a service animal, then their disability wasn't debilitating, claiming all these things. And I'm like, first of all, I have two autistic children. Both of them are disabled. I am also undiagnosed autistic and Bumble's autistic. I'm like, how am I? Like, I would never do that. And all of you know that I would never do that in the first place. But I'm
Never.
gonna let you take over for a second, and I'm gonna let you explain your side.
So pretty much everything that she educator has said is pretty much what's gone on. I mean, like my only like add on is that like I was the one that like muted them the second time because I wasn't about to let a round two happen. I mean, again, we told them, hey, listen, it's facts and law over fifis and tum tum. It's The law is very not necessarily like black and white, but it's also not necessarily gray areas either. There are certain things that are gray area, but again, whenever it comes to emotional service animals, that's just not a thing, period. That's just the law. It says emotional support is not a task that is recognized by the ADA. So therefore emotional service animals aren't a thing. You can have a psychiatric service animal, which is fine, and I have a psychiatric service animal. Educator has a psychiatric service animal for both herself and her son, and it's not a slur to say psychiatric. What this lady was upset about, I think one of her messages that I read was like, you know, I don't like calling my son, my son's, dog a psychiatric dog because he's not a psych patient. And it's like, that's not what psychiatric service dog stands for. It just stands for what the dog is for. Autism is a psychiatric disability. It's also technically a genetic disability. It can also be a potential mobility issue as well. There's so much that like this dog, can do that's not just my kid's a psych patient. It's like, no, 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 no. That's not what we're saying. You know, and
Can we also say really quick though, is that she acted like it was the worst thing ever that her
oh
son had a
yeah, she
psychiatric
acted like it was a
disability.
slur or something like that. It was disability is not a slur. Psychiatric is not a slur. It's really it's a really weird hill to unalive on. It it just genuinely baffled me, like going through these messages and being like, why are you the way that you are? And even when she went on to, the YouTube channel, um, and I was reading her and her husband's unhinged comments where they were like, she's attacking a child that has autism. These people don't know what they're talking about. They don't know the laws. And it's like, ma'am, we wish you growth. We wish your son joy and happiness, but we mostly wish you growth. Whether that you take that emotionally, spiritually, or just in general. Like, grow up. Like you're literally sitting here throwing an adult temper tantrum over a literal difference in verbiage that you don't want to use. You're upset that we told you that saying emotional service isn't a thing. You're getting upset with the vernacular. You're getting upset because you think that psychiatric, is a bad word to use. It's not. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I have seen my mother do many things, but this tops a lot of the things that I've seen in real life. And I worked in retail and in food service for many years. And this was by far top 3 crash out moments. I want to say top 2.
Well, to me, the funny thing was is like, you know, I even like stated multiple times, I have two autistic kids, and I myself is most likely an undiagnosed autistic individual, and you've even stated that you were autistic,
I
and
am
it's
fully
like,
diagnosed.
and it's like, lady, like we're not like, and then they also commented they're planning on making a podcast mocking me and my kid. The kid was not even going to be brought in.
Yeah,
Like
no,
just
like
state we were like
there are
right
certain
now.
rules.
Hang on. Like right now, us talking is we are just saying that the child and the disability of the child was autism. That's all. The child has nothing to do with what the parents were doing. So I have no need to bring the child into this and call the child like faking or not disabled or anything else like that because I don't know the child. And I'm also not going to make an assumption about somebody like that, because again,
Also,
I don't know their kid.
it's a massive red line to go after someone's children, and that's not something that we do to anybody's kids.
No, because
Period.
again, I have two kids on the spectrum, so I understand. And I would never want anyone to come after my kids at the end of the day. And
It's a very low blow.
Yes, 100%. And this lady just kept on going and going and bam and bam. And I'm like, lady, like for real. And I kept telling her, like, I'm going to bed. Like, it is 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, and you keep blowing up my phone and you keep talking about the same thing over and over again when I've told you multiple times because they got mad that you muted her, but then they kept on saying like, "Oh, but you're in control of your mods." I don't like I can unmute you in the lives, yeah, and I can tell my mods, "Hey, knock it off." But if they're gonna mute somebody, they're gonna mute somebody. Plus, all of my mods are under strict rules and guidelines, as you know, because you
Mhm.
are a mod of mine. You know the rules and guidelines that I have. I don't like it when you guys block people unless they're saying slurs, and I don't like it. And I don't mind you muting people if they are being too argumentative, like they just want to keep saying the same things over and over and over again. They're
Which is why I
spamming.
muted her in the first place, is because, again, this is now like the third or fourth iteration of her coming in here, saying exactly the same things, getting, real nasty about it. And then, it's like, you know what? There are some days where I'm like, yeah, I just, I'll see someone in the comment section and it's just like, I don't even want to deal with you today. Like, I don't want to put educator through the stress of having to do this over and over and over again. I don't want to go through the stress of doing this over and over and over again. It gets annoying, especially whenever it's the same person.
Well, and we also have to understand something, guys, is as much as I love doing this, and y'all know I do get overwhelmed with certain things, and Bumble knows that because she understands my day-to-day life. She knows what I go through on a regular basis with my kids and how much pressure and how much shit I'm under and everything. So this to me is a stress reliever, but sometimes also can add on to my anxiety if people come in with a rude way about it. And while I can handle certain things very wellly, I still
You have your
love the
moments.
yeah, I still break, I still get overwhelmed, I still lash out. Like today, I'll admit it, I lashed out today at an individual that came up. Again, they were lashing out at me too, but still, I still lashed out on that individual when I should have kept it calm, kept it moving, and kept it positive. But I had a breaking point, and it wasn't until two vets came in and put us back to our corners and said, "Hey, y'all both need to calm the fuck down." Where I
Yeah.
finally was like, "Yeah, I needed to take a break."
Yeah. I mean, and, it's just human of us to, have our moments where we're just like, I just don't want to deal with you, and e- especially since that lady has shown previous, disinterest of being, understanding or learning or anything really. It's kind of like, beating an unalived horse. It's just, there's just no point to it.
Right.
So I made the executive decision to just go, you know what? You're not here to learn anything. You're just here to complain. I'm not putting through either of us through this. If you want to physically come up in a box, you can. I did not block her. I just simply muted. She had the full ability to jump up in a box, but she chose not to and instead decided to DM you for almost 8 hours and then complained about how she was muted. It's like, girl, listen, listen. You were not blocked from the live. You could still watch. You could have joined a box. You could have done any number of things, but you chose not to do anything. That's
You
kind of
chose to
your
sit in the
problem.
comment section.
You chose to
And
sit in the comment section and
like
you decided
her
to.
profile says she has 10 kids. So of course, and by her profile picture, she looks older than 18, 100%. She could have joined a box. Now,
She also
again,
has
it
like
is
5,000 followers, doesn't she? Or something like
no,
that.
no, I don't know. I have
I
no
don't know,
idea.
but she had certain she had enough followers. She could totally jump up in a box at any point in time. But I
Right.
digress.
And again, she has the right to join or not. That's the way that she can. But don't get all upset and then go into my DMs and start blowing up my phone over a topic. So I'm gonna make a POV again. If
P-
you don't like what we
not a
talk about,
POV, not a POV, a PSA.
okay, PSA. A PSA, if you don't like what we're talking about, whether it's emotional service animals, whether it's besting, whatever topic we have, right? Let's say that tomorrow I put up a topic and you don't like it. You can do two things. Excuse me. Two things. You can leave the live for the day. Don't come back. Or you can message me and say, hey, I didn't particularly care for this topic, and I would like to know about this, this, and this. Can you do this for your next topic? There. But you don't run the live. You don't tell people what they can and can't go on their live with and talk about what they want to talk about. You can make suggestions in a correct and
Positive
polite
way.
way, but don't try to dictate over people. You know what I mean?
Constructive, not destructive. But honestly, like, I'm not going to get too offensive with it, but that lady from her messages is giving several crayons short of a full box. If I'm being completely honest, like, that's going to be my
added
critique.
her husband involved with this.
I love how she added her husband, and her husband's just like, I don't know what my wife's talking about, but she's angry, so I'm angry too. It's like, okay.
Well, I mean, like, that was the... I don't know what just happened. It booted me off for a second. But anyways, that was the most hilarious thing ever. Is that this person messaged in on our podcast channel, saying some off the walls crap, and I was like, dude, like, you could have read the messages back and forth from me, 100%, but you're not involved with this. First of all, second of all, like, why are you messaging us in the first place?
Like,
my husband want to be caught dead doing that.
It's like I don't know of any sane person that, like, I don't know if this is just me or this is how the way that I raised. If I start a fight, and I'm going to be the only fighter in that fight. I'm not going to drag someone else into the fight with me unless it involves that person. And then we can tag team. But right. I find it hilarious how this lady has the maturity of, and this is going to sound so offensive, but of a 2-year-old. And that's offensive to 2-year-olds, because I know some pretty well-rounded 2-year-olds that mind their own business. I have a 2-year-old. I know, your 2-year-old minds his own business. He'll backtalk you, but he'll just be like, bah. And it's just like, okay. But it's like...
That was just hilarious to me.
I found it hilarious that, like, and it's like, what's really funny is that, like, our afterwards conversation was just us laughing.
Let's also talk about how the fact that she, like, used the example of the LGBTQ plus community.
Oh god, not the LGBTQ. I hate being brought into a topic of autism.
Okay, so should I read what she wrote?
I mean, that's on you if you want to do that. But, like, I find it funny how people who have literal no fights in the dogs in the fight will literally pull anything up. Like, I think I got pissed off recently over somebody comparing genetic dwarfism to children unaliving in Palestine. And then they came into my DMs and were like, you don't care about children in Palestine dying. And it's like,
okay.
Who said I don't care about that?
Let's read what she wrote. All right, so...
Put on your reading glasses. Time to take out the teacups.
I'll read it out loud, and like I said, I have screenshots to prove everything. This is what she wrote, quote unquote. Like, everything that she wrote. The government labels a lot of things a certain way. That doesn't mean they don't exist. Gay marriage, for example, wasn't recognized for hundreds of years. Up until recently, does that mean gay marriage doesn't exist? No, it exists 100%. The government just didn't recognize it. But that didn't change how those couples felt in their marriage, labels or titles.
It's like...
First of all, that had nothing to do with anything, first of all. Besides, like, I can understand, we're not going to say the name of who said this. So, while I can understand what she was saying, which was the emotional service animal title does exist to people, let's look at this from the legal stance prior to legalizing of gay marriage, right? If I was married to you, Bumble, and something were to happen to you and we go to the hospital,
Don't worry,
They
I'm already
can't
on my
tell me
stomach kicking my
anything.
legs.
Well,
If
be
I was,
serious.
if
Be
you were my
serious.
wife,
Be serious.
okay, serious face.
If something were to happen to you and we
Uh-huh,
went to the hospital, right? And
uh-huh,
let's say that it was severe medical things, they can't tell me anything
uh-huh,
because, again, we're not legally married.
uh-huh,
And also, if you were to be unalived, they
uh-huh,
wouldn't release any information, release your body, or do anything for me. And it would be up to the parents of what happens to you. And they have every right to non include me into that as well.
uh-huh.
So, with that being said, did people still have couples that were the same sex as them? Yes. Back then, prior to it being legalized, 100%. Did they recognize themselves as married individuals?
No.
Yes. But legally, and that is what we are talking about when we say emotional service animals don't exist, that legal term does not exist. Same thing back then, marriage for gay people didn't exist either.
Yeah. And the thing is like we've had our rights longer, if not, or actually shorter than the LGBTQIA. So, that being said, it's like, okay, I mean, I don't know why you're bringing the alphabet mafia into this, but all right. I mean, and again, it's just I love how people who have two singular brain cells rubbing together, fighting for 12th place, always tie in like the most like like what am I trying to say? Like the most like far off like straw man argument to anything. It's just like, what do you mean?
Right.
Like what are you trying to tie this to? Again, it was like when you told when I read that text message, it reminded me of that one fight that I had months ago about the hereditary genetic dwarfism and the Palestine children, and it's like, what? Like I had emotional whiplash. It was like, what is this tie? And then to be like, you don't like us because of that. It's like, oh, huh? Like you don't even know my
Also,
stance
really
on
quick,
this.
I want to say, like, because I know we're not really reading comments, but I want to say, like, Austin said, like, would it be fair to say ESSAs don't exist? Yeah,
Yeah,
they legally
they
don't
don't.
exist, and that the titles doesn't exist. Do people still call it ESSAs? Yes. And the only reason why when somebody comes in and asks what we think about ESSAs, we're the difference between what an ESSA is an emotional support stuffed animal. Those things do not cause harm to our animals, so I just don't care about it. But an emotional service animal that can cause harm to my dog at the
Because
end of
it's
the
an
day.
actual animal.
Yeah.
Again, and to those who are listening to this podcast, we don't mind if you bring stuffed animals into a business and call it your emotional support stuffed animal. Don't swing it at us. Don't pretend to have it bark at us. It's fine to have, but like there's an extent. You know, be free to your heart's content, but like don't interfere with other people.
Right.
But and the thing is like, and again, just like the emotional service animal, it's not a thing, but the emotional service animal is, you know,
Oh, emotional support service animal. That definitely is
it's the same
the
thing
way
as
of
an
it.
emotional service animal. It's still a live animal. The live ones are where the danger comes in, but emotional stuffed animals, not so much.
Right. But I think that this is a good stopping point, for the podcast for tonight. And if you're that individual who we're talking about and that's found a way to listen, because I know we blocked you off of the, other accounts, the main account that you used and your husband's account, just know what we were trying to say wasn't in any way, shape, or form to degrade your son's disability or anything else like that. We were just trying to be helpful to you about the legal stance of your kid. At the end of the day, you guys could take what I say with a grain of salt. Like honestly, call your dogs what you want to call your dogs. Take them with wherever you want to go with you. I can't
But don't
stop
be
you, and I'm not
surprised.
going to stop you. But at the
But
end of the day, if you're, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when your dog gets hurt from another dog or from the stupidity that you are doing, don't expect the law to be on your side and you to get the money that you deserve when you don't deserve any sort of money whatsoever.
It's just gonna be, you know, like, do what you want, but the law is still the law. And I mean, you know, to each their own, but do be aware that the law does not favor you kindly, and don't be
Right.
surprised if you get kicked out of places that know what the laws are. And you know,
Right.
again, we're hoping eventually that our course will start reaching businesses, so we will start educating businesses on how to actually interact with service dog handlers and to know when and where to kick an animal out of their store.
Exactly. But with that being said, that is it for today's podcast of the Beyond the Leash podcast. Thank you guys for hanging out with us and learning more about the amazing world of service dogs. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow, share, and leave a quick comment. It really helps us to reach more dog lovers like you. So until next time, stay positive, keep those tails wagging, and give your pup an extra treat from us. I also want to say for you guys as well, if you haven't already, please go follow all the social medias that will be linked down in the bio of this YouTube channel. And please go check out the online course that I have created. And like I said, there's more to come of that. We're going to have training ones. We're going to have one with me and Bumble in it. We're going to have more in-depth things to go to keep continuing on this course, and I'm hoping that this is going to turn out like to a point to where you can get like a bundle of stuff, you know, and I'm really hoping that you know happens in the future. So keep supporting me in any way you can. If you can, I really appreciate it. Make sure we follow Bumble, who is up here in the comment section. All of her social medias will be linked down below as well, and stay tuned for my lives coming to we do Mondays, Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then sometimes Fridays. So if you want to join in on a live, make sure you follow the TikTok down below. And I will see you all very, very soon with another live.
Can rock your body right.
Come on, rock that body.
Rock that body.